Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. Lots of interesting stories we are following this morning. Trump has not been indicted yet and doesn't look like he's going to be indicted today, but we'll give you an update about everything we know there to the extent that we know anything there. We also have some new indicators about how Ron DeSantis is faring in all of this. More Trump response, more MAGA response, more poll numbers, all of that stuff. Also, huge decision made by the Fed yesterday about what they're going to do with interest rates, and crazy day in the stock market too, as Jerome Powell and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen seem to be at odds in what they were laying out in terms of the economy. So we'll dig into some of those details. It's really quite interesting. We also have some details of that meeting between Putin and Xi, what came out of that, what does it mean for us, and a crazy story. So we followed this when it initially broke. Rolling Stone had this gigantic piece about this journalist whose home was raided by the FBI, and they really tried to make it seem like this had to do directly with his work. You especially were immediately skeptical, and actually, I don't know that you said it on air because you don't want to just like casually accuse someone of having kiddie porn, but that is what in fact ended up happening.
Like child porn to me. I've seen enough of these raids.
Because the way that they rolled up on him was over the. So anyway, it turns out Rolling Stone, it seems like, knew at the time that was likely the real reason. They had a source who said that was likely the real reason that he was raided. But the editor of Rolling Stone was like buddies with this dude and stripped that out of the piece. Huge blow up over there. Incredible reporting about exactly what went down. Quite an astonishing story. So we'll get into all of that. And really excited to talk to our guest today, David Thibodeau, a survivor of Waco. This comes as there's a new Netflix documentary about everything that went down there. I mean, and crazy, atrocious, seminal moment in terms of American history and American politics. So really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, me too. I read his book. We're going to recommend it as well.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book.
I also read his book on Saagar's recommendation.
Yes,
So.
it's a great book. Also, as a reminder to everybody, you can go ahead and watch the show on Spotify if you are a premium member, so breakingpoints.com. I know a lot of you guys have been taking advantage of that. Thank you so much to everybody. We are still working out in terms of processing time, etc., but every single day it's getting faster and faster and faster. So for premium subs, you can watch the full show on Spotify, toggle between audio and video. If that's what you want, you can also continue to watch it on YouTube, as we will email you guys the link every day. So there you go. With Krystal, what is going on with Trump?
All right, well, I don't really know what's going on with Trump, but here's what we can tell you based on the reporting that is out there. This is from the New York Times. They say Trump is at Mar-a-Lago with magical thinking and a perp walk fixation. Those who've spent time with Trump in recent days say he's often appeared significantly disconnected from the severity of his potential legal woes. I don't know if any of this is accurate, and I don't think anybody except Donald Trump himself could know whether any of this is accurate, because this is all based on the musings of people around him, taking in what he's saying, taking in whatever his mood is, etc. But let me just tell you what they say here. They say behind closed doors, former president has told friends and associates he welcomes the idea of being paraded by the authorities doing that perp walk before a throng of reporters and news cameras. He's mused openly about whether he should smile for the assembled media, has pondered how the public would react, said to have described the potential spectacle as a fun experience. No one, they say, is really sure whether his remarks are bravado or genuine resignation about what lies ahead. If he is truly looking forward to it, though, he might be disappointed. There's no expectation that he will actually do a perp walk. They're likely to coordinate this. The indication is if he is indicted, which continues to be an if, not a certainty, he is expected to surrender himself. They will likely coordinate with Secret Service, kind of bring him in secretly. So there probably will not be the perp walk, to the apparent disappointment of Trump himself. They have a quote here from one person who spoke to Trump over the weekend. They said he wants to be defiant and to show the world that if they can try to do this to him, they can do it to anyone. What do you make of this, Saagar?
I think it's actually the smartest move that he could make, because what they're pointing out is they're like, Mr. Trump is not focused on the particulars. It's like, yeah, well, now this is all being tried in the court of public opinion. He is literally one of the most recognizable figures on the planet. I did find it funny, the idea that they might mugshot him. The entire purpose of mugshot is to have an official photograph of somebody in the event that they like go missing or something. You're like,
it's pretty recognizable.
He probably is one of the most I think I would be venture to say he's probably the most photographed person literally on the entire planet. Obama was before him. So, you know, there's no expectation as to why that would have changed. No, I actually think it would be the correct strategy. It would be one, defiance, making it into a show. And let's be honest, like, this is what he's the best at. He's the master of PR. Like, showing you that he's being persecuted, whether he says something or not, like an image of him smiling. It's almost like, you know, you think back to like the John Gottis and all those other people, the way that they were able to weaponize PR and then have real impacts on the legal system. I'm looking at it basically in the exact same way. So this, look, many of his advisors, like, he needs to be more focused on the law. I'm like, I wouldn't be, because of A, you're going to have good lawyers. Well, I don't know about Trump, but we'll see. You will have lawyers who can make a competent case at the very least on that front.
Yeah.
What you need to do is try and put and exert as much public pressure as possible. And this is exactly the way that anybody would do it. And he is, look, perhaps one of the greatest showmen of all time. So give people a show.
My instinct is that the perp walk and all the visible, the mugshot, if he gets handcuffed, like all of that stuff, I think that benefits him definitely with the Republican base.
No question.
General electorate, I don't know. I think
I have no idea.
Yeah, in my instinct is it probably cuts in the other direction with the general electorate, because, you know, there's a real normie instinct of just like, you know, you get arrested, you get indicted, you're handcuffed, you're perp walked, like you did something wrong. So terms of, you know, down the road, I think it is maybe not the best call, but in terms of this moment right now, I see his thinking. I'll also say that, remember, all of this speculation really ramped up when he put out that Truth Social saying that he thought he would be arrested on Tuesday. Now, he was not arrested on Tuesday. And there was reporting at the time, this is just like, he doesn't really have any inside information. He's just putting this out there. I think that was also a very smart and savvy move because, number one, it cuts out the element of surprise in terms of, you know, the DA and whatever they want to accomplish here. And number two, it gives his people the time to come up with what their talking points are, you know, marshal their own public defense before the DA and others can really say anything, because they haven't indicted him yet. So they can't make their case yet. It makes it an asymmetric situation because he and his side of this can fully come out and make their case against the indictment and say this is a witch hunt, this is political, Alvin Bragg is, you know, connected with George Soros and all of this stuff, before the other side really has an ability to respond. So, you know, in hindsight, I think that was actually a very clever strategic political move.
Not only that, now the media is 100% fully focused. And with Trump, I mean, one of the things with Trump is he, at the end of the day, what he loves most is attention. And you can't deny, like, look, we have to talk about Trump. Everybody has to talk about Trump. And it's one of those where, like, he is a former president. If he gets arrested, it literally would be one of the most insane moments in American history. You know, so I did some reading, historical knowledge. Only one former president has ever been arrested, although he was not indicted. It was former Ulysses S. Grant, and it was like a municipal thing having to do with, like, horses or something like that here in D.C. Yeah, it was like a D.C. cop who, like, didn't know who he was. So that is literally the only time that a former president has ever technically even been arrested. And even then, he wasn't thrown in jail or anything. I'll get the details for everybody. But the point is that it's never happened, not even Nixon. So it would be a landmark event no matter what. And that's why we're forced to cover what's going on here. And with the grand jury, as you said, it's literally like Kremlinology. We're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're not meeting yesterday. That means it wouldn't happen yesterday. That doesn't mean it can't happen today. If they do convene, even if they do convene, they may not necessarily issue an indictment. It's like, we have no idea.
Well, I do think that that's an important note is there's an active assumption now that, oh, of course, the grand jury will indict, which they probably will, but it's not a guarantee. So I do think that's important to put out there is like, you know, they are human beings who get to make a decision, have minds of their own, et cetera. So it's not 100% guaranteed that things are going to go the way that we expect them to go. Put this next piece up on the screen, and I have an update on this as well. So this was reporting originally from Insider. This is a Politico tear sheet we have here. Trump grand jury called off for Wednesday. They were told to stay home yesterday, on standby for today. Insider had an updated report that it has also been called off for today. Now, this grand jury typically meets on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So today would be the last day that they would be expected to meet this week. So they have also been called off for today. that likely means we're not going to see an indictment anytime this week.
Right.
And it gets pushed into next week. So that's as far as we know about, potential timing here. That is what we can tell you.
Yeah, I truly have no idea. I was telling you, I will be in New York City tomorrow and over the weekend up until Monday. So if anything does pop off, I'll try to go down there to the courthouse and see what's going on.
I hope that timing works out.
Me too. I can't. I'm going to be doing the Flagrant podcast. Shout out to Andrew Schultz on Monday. So anytime before that, we'll see.
We're going to be all over the place on Monday. You'll be doing that with Andrew Schultz, and I'm going to be on with Russell Brand.
There you go.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
Little shameless plug here. Okay. We're getting a little bit of a sense of how the American people feel about this potential indictment. And quite frankly, this is not surprising to me at all. Put this up on the screen from Reuters. Basically, they feel like there's probably something to this charge. Like, they believe the hush money story, but they also think that the potential prosecution is politically motivated, which, kind of makes sense to me as a common sense position. Let me give you some of the specific numbers here. They say about half of Americans believe a New York investigation into whether Trump paid hush money to a porn star is politically motivated. A large majority find the allegations believable, though, according to a Reuters Ipsos opinion poll. That two-day poll, which ended on Tuesday, found 54% of respondents, including 80% of the president's fellow Republicans and 32% of Democrats, thought that politics was driving the criminal case. So even a third of Democrats say, it's kind of politically motivated. 70% of respondents, including half of Republicans, say it was believable that Trump, during his 2016 presidential campaign, paid the adult film actress Stormy Daniels for her silence about an alleged sexual encounter. And 62% of respondents, so a healthy majority, including a third of Republicans, said it was also believable that Trump falsified business records and committed fraud. So make of that what you will. People tend to think, there's probably some politics involved. They also tend to think, he probably did the stuff that he's accused of. So what does that mean? I have no idea.
I don't know. I again think about it on importance. It's one of those where no Republican voter was ever like, Trump, that's a real stand-up family guy. That's somebody who 100% that's who we're voting for. That's never, ever been the case. Even the evangelicals who backed him were like, we think he's personally a scumbag. They're like, we just think he's going to do what we want him to do. Which he did.
Yeah,
so
that we
it's
want.
one of those where they made a deal with the devil and they won. So one of those where I would look at this in terms of political import. And again, trying to judge general electorate at this point is nearly impossible. We do have very good evidence from the last midterm election cycle that Stop the Steal is probably the most potent general election weapon against Trump. So I do think indicting him on some big, bookkeeping fraud, on a long time payment to a porn star, which was his own money, and then not recording it properly, is not even close to the level of political import for most people, as opposed to, calling the Georgia Secretary of State and potentially trying to get him to influence the election.
Find me X number of votes.
That one people do care a lot about. And we've already had a run of this. 2016, Access Hollywood. He's dead. There's no way he can survive. Everybody denounced him. He wins. So most people didn't care, or at the very least, a lot of Republicans didn't care. Don't forget, he did win some 54% of white women in the 2016 election, and actually increased his margin with white women in the 2020 election. So there is no evidence that any of this stuff actually matters to female voters and others. To the extent that suburban voters were turned off, it was because they're pissed off about Stop the Steal and probably on Roe versus Wade. So as usual, things of actual import to people usually are what they vote on and influence their political decisions.
Trump as a lecherous, shady dude is just baked into the cake.
Yeah, it's one of those no shit.
Across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, what I will say is, I think that for people who are, Trump has his loyalists that none of these prosecutions are going to matter for. If anything, it'll just strengthen their commitment to him. Right. We're already seeing that in the polls, and we'll talk in a minute about Ron DeSantis. For people who are, more on the opposed to Trump side, which is a majority of Americans based on the polling, I don't know that I think there may be a sense of just this guy deserves to be popped for something. Mm-hmm. And so even if the particular details of these allegations are kind of baked into the cake, et cetera, I have a feeling that a majority of those folks do support the prosecution just in that sense of like, listen, this guy has gotten away with so much crap. He deserves to be popped with something. Now, you should be thinking about the individual specifics of the case. So I'm not saying put that all to the side, but I think that may be the sense among a lot of Americans.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
It could be like the OJ thing, where OJ technically got convicted. What was he like, pulling memorabilia or whatever out of a guy's house?
Al Capone famously popped on tax fraud, right?
True. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe bookkeeping fraud is what does it. Although I think there's a little bit of a difference between OJ, Al Capone, and Trump.
I have a feeling,
depending on who you ask.
I have a feeling this is not the end of the indictments.
I think old Donnie will wriggle his way out of this particular one. And probably all of them. I'm just being honest.
Again, I just want to put it out there. None of this is guaranteed. They have to persuade the grand jury to indict and to accept the legal theory that they are offering here. Mm-hmm. And again, they always famously say, like, you can indict a ham sandwich in front of a grand jury. And that is very likely the case. And this is Manhattan grand jury, which is very, probably Trump skeptical or actively anti-Trump. But I just want to put out there that there are no guarantees. So we genuinely do have to just wait and see what unfolds, because all of the speculation up to this point could end up being incorrect.
You're right.
We just don't know.
Yeah, we know. Maybe we're playing right into Trump's hands.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.